What's going on, everybody? It's Poodle back with another CFB 25 video, guys, and in today's video I'm gonna be going over how to maximize your player's potential in Dynasty mode. Now, of course, before we get into the video, guys, as always, give a big thumbs up. Can we get 500 likes on this video? As well as, if you're new, make sure to subscribe, turn on that noty bell so you never miss another video. Comment down below if you have any other tips to add to this, and of course, guys, if you haven't already checked out Underdog, make sure to use my code down below so you do get your deposit matched up to $1,000, as well as your 0.5 free pick. Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday season, New Year's, promo galore. Make sure you do go ahead and check it out. They're doing promos basically every day. You don't want to miss it. All right, guys, so let's get into it. So basically, one of the key things in CFB, and I feel like it was intended to be this way, but I'm not sure if it was, is that a lot of players are basically playing out of position or not optimized for their position. And it's up to you, the coach, to make sure that they're in the right spot. And furthermore, how to maximize this and how to see the signs. So we're going to start on National Signing Day to go through this, and I'll go through some of my other tips and tidbits about this. So every National Signing Day, position change season does open, and you want to spend at least 30 minutes here, maybe an hour, and go through it one by one. Now, in my opinion, this works a lot better after like year one going through year four, because you start to get rid of regular day players. Don't change the positions of regular players that are good, like Harold Perkins. You can destroy them, but there's a few things you do want to be on the lookout for. So one of the first ones I've noticed is when looking at your tackles, see if you can identify a subpar lineman that should be that's like pretty decent, but it might never start. Now, remember, this is a sim league, so I didn't recruit or have any guys built up there yet, but when you look through, you'll identify that some guys here are actually really good blockers, but they may never start in another spot. So for instance, this guy right here, DJ Chester, would be an 85 overall blocking tight end. Now, again, these are low overall guys, but I do want to lay out a few things here that I'm going to go through for tidbits, and like I said, like some tips here. If you take a look at DJ Chester, he has pocket shield, outside shield, second level. So I'm going to drop my webcam for a second so you guys can see that. 3 platinum abilities and 1 bronze. And he was only an 81 overall. So where I like to do this is you'll start to realize that there's players that could be so much better at other spots. Now, again, he's only 58 speed. I don't recommend this guy specifically, but you will notice that there's some guys that are just primed to be in another spot. So what I like to do, if you can do this in your league, is identify, especially like I said, season 2 or 3 or 4, when you have a bunch of tackles and guards, you're going to have that one tackle who's a freshman and your other guy's a freshman, and they kind of get where they grow up together, but one's better and the other one's just always going to be a bench guy. What I like to do is, if he's a fast tackle, or in general, take the faster one, move him to a blocking tight end. Now, that was only an 81 overall DJ Chester. If you had like an 85 or 86 overall backup tackle, they would go into the 90 overalls right off rip and be the most elite blocking tight end you've ever seen. Now, why is this beneficial? Currently, you're not using him, right? You have another left tackle. Now, with all these abilities, you can line him up as your second tight end or on run formations, right? So if you know you're running the ball, you could sub him in and leave him as the end of the line tight end, and he will absolutely dominate the end of the line for the run game. Just one example of how you can prioritize position changes and put a guy where they should be. And this is one of the ones where, again, all linemen will be good in this spot, but make sure you take a good one. And there's plenty of positions like this. So I always use this guy, like I said earlier. You'll notice with defensive tackles and ends, they could be rotated. Now, one of my tips that I want to recommend here is sometimes when you're in your league, you'll notice that run stopper ends generally get avoided. So something that's smart to do, when you see a 5-star run stopper end, people don't always go all in on them, or even those good 4-star ones, because they want power rushers, they want speed rushers, they want elite edges. If they're not being recruited, just take them. Take run stopping ends. I'm gonna tell you why. They start with great block shed. They start with great block shed. As long as their weight and everything else is good, they start with great block shed, and they usually have better speed than a defensive tackle. Then what you do is, when it comes time for position change season, you can maybe give it a season, let them build a little bit. You change your run stopping end over to defensive tackle, and they'll be elite. So that's something I've definitely noticed that you want to be taking advantage of. And you'll see it even here, like 91 power move, right? He's a 77 overall. If you move him elsewhere, he'll go down, right? Defensive tackles aren't built to be ends, in my opinion. So I don't think it's like it goes either way. You want to be focusing really on those run stopping ends. They are elite defensive tackles. Elite defensive tackles. And there's even some that would be a power rusher, but it depends on how they grow. But if you have any ends you can get with high block shed off rip, they'll be faster, more athletic, and play defensive tackle very well. And when you change them, because their block shed so high, they'll unlock a bunch of platinum abilities. Again, maybe wait till they grow a little bit. That way you get the prime position change spot where you can unlock abilities. But that's another one. Another good one's going to be the linebacker spot. Something you'll come to learn as you play this game is that some linebackers will just oddly be good pass rushers. Now, these aren't the best examples, like I'm saying, because I think this more for middle linebackers. There's some middle linebackers that I don't have on roster now. I have this guy in my league, Gayton. He's a 95 or 96 speed linebacker who has 85 power move, but he's a pass coverage linebacker. I don't know why. If you were to switch him to outside linebacker, he would probably get pass rushing abilities, or at the very least be a great pass rusher. 96 speed with 85 power move, and there's still room for it to grow. So just take a look around your league constantly, and always look at positions that could be moved around. You'll see the same thing with cornerbacks. You'll notice that you'll get some good cornerbacks that have like just amazing zone and they're fast, but that's all they're good at. Move them to safety. They'd be an elite safety, elite zone safety, because that's going to be the primary indicative rating. And keep that in mind too. With players, certain position archetypes value things. So the reason it works for left tackle so great is because left tackles have generically high blocking off rip, right? Especially the run maulers, they have high blocking, like 80 to 85. On a tight end, blocking is the most important thing on a blocking tight end. So if you switch them there, you're going to get that. So if you take a cornerback who has, let's say, 92 zone as a freshman or 88 zone as a freshman, and by the next season he's in the 90s, you move him over to zone safety, he's going to get every zone ability platinum probably, or close to it, plus be a 90 overall safety. So definitely be taking a look across your team and just seeing where you see discrepancies in players. This doesn't really work for quarterback. It only works if they're an athlete and they're a better runner. Same thing pretty much for quarterback through wide receiver. This only works if they're a better athlete. Occasionally you'll find like a 6'5" wide receiver that's a really good like vertical threat and kind of slow and could be a tight end vertical threat. But where I want to focus on this is really the trenches, the front seven as a whole, and the secondary. I think all of defense you can look at this, and then of course on the offensive line, I generally leave the quarterback, halfback, fullback, wide receiver alone, because things can go wrong with those positions, and I don't really see the value. Because if you put a wide receiver at halfback, while you can do it, and there's some instances where it works, they'll probably be an undersized, especially if you're going for speed. If you put a halfback at wide receiver, they might be undersized, and then if you put a quarterback at running back, that one actually could work decent depending on their weight, but again, they're probably undersized and they don't have like the power stuff. It really depends on who you're putting there. But make sure you're doing that. The next tidbit, like I said, was when you're recruiting, recruit with this in mind. Like I said, I see so many people look through recruits and just ignore it. They go through and they ignore the fact that these players should be other places, right? So if you look through this list, you'll see guys like, let's say power, like I said, a power guard. Oh, I want a pass protector. I right tackle or guard. I want a pass protector, or I need a better pass blocking line. You can still bring in these power guys that people don't want and put them at tight end. Same thing with run stopping right end right here. This is a guy that's a 5-star. Probably could have went mostly unrecruited. Like I said, he's elite dev, but a lot of people avoid them because you don't want to put all your resources into a 5-star end that won't be a great pass rusher, but they're going to be an elite defensive tackle. They're easy to obtain, and they just make the transition so easy. And then the same thing across the board. If you see a right guard that's a pass protector, I see people who say, I don't want that. I need a agile or a power guy at right guard. I don't need a pass protector. You can move him over to tackle later. So don't look at positions as one-offs. See how you could allocate their stuff. And when recruiting, you may see a situation where you look at a guy and he has a really high weird stat, like 92 zone, like I said, or they might have like really high, like 88 run blocking finesse, but everything else is bad. Those guys are awesome because you can switch them to their position that benefits that specific thing. They'll go up in rating and they'll get platinum abilities for that position at that rating, right? So definitely keep in mind like one-offs. Like a fullback that has great power, or a running back that has great power, or blocking that could be a fullback. Just keep in mind for special things like that, or a linebacker that has a pass rush, or a linebacker with high block shed. Keep in mind just those key aspects when recruiting things. So for instance, something I've seen the other way is people get defensive tackles who are pass rushers. I don't mind them, but when I'm getting defensive tackles, I'm really looking for run stoppers, or like, cogs. So it always is weird to me when you get a defensive tackle that's a pass rusher and they start with like 76 block shed. They'll never be good run stoppers. They'll be good pass rushers, but if you're doing that, you want to get speed. And with that being said, you may just want to get ends that are big pass rushers. They're big, they're strong, they're maybe not the fastest, but they're 81 speed, and you move them to defensive tackle. I find that ends could translate a lot better if you position change them. You'll get the abilities, and typically they'll just be better athletes. So keep that in mind. Play players in the right spot, move players to the right spot, and make sure you keep all this in mind when recruiting, because it makes it very easy end of the season. Just place players where they should be. Make sure you're maximizing the potential of your players. And of course, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn that notification bell, give this video a big thumbs up. As always, can we get 500 likes in this video? That'd be greatly appreciated. Comment down below what other ways and what other positions you notice is that. I know tight end is definitely a big one. Offensive line's a big one. Linebackers and front seven's a big one. Corners and safeties can be like sneaky good. If you see anything else that's like a big discrepancy, like moving a blocking guy to this or moving a wide receiver to running back, if you notice anything else, please let the comment section know down below. And if you haven't already, check out Underdog. Use my code down below and sign up with code Poodle. Make sure to use my code so you do get your deposit bonus match as well as your 0.5 free pick. Thank you so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.